In this video, I'm gonna be breaking down 5 of the worst flight booking mistakes that you want to be sure to avoid. Mistakes that, well, let's just say I've made most of them. I've made all of them. Mistake number 1, not being flexible with your travel dates. The first mistake on the list is the most common mistake, and it's also the one that's probably costing you the most money. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but being flexible with your travel dates, sometimes even by just a day or two, can save you a lot on airfare. I always recommend choosing the exact dates of your trip last in the search process. Search for cheap flights, decide where you want to go, and then figure out when it's cheapest to go there. My favorite way to do this is actually a feature of Google Flights called the Date Grid, which shows you optimal pricing based on shifts in your departure or arrival dates. Once you've searched, just click Date Grid and Google will highlight in green the best price days. This has sometimes saved me over $500 on a single booking. One of the most frustrating flight booking mistakes is booking the wrong airport. I know that sounds crazy, but it happens more often than you might think, especially if you're headed to a destination you're not so familiar with. In big cities with multiple airports, oftentimes smaller budget carriers will fly into regional airports that are actually a ways outside of the city. In that case, where you accidentally booked the wrong airport, the money that you saved by picking that budget airline might often have to go right back into booking your train or your Uber or whatever to actually get you to your destination. This has happened to me twice. Once when flying into Phoenix, Arizona, I actually flew into the Mesa airport. And then once when I was flying Ryanair into Paris, actually went to the Beauvoir airport, which is like 2 hours outside of Paris. Make sure you know the right airport. Trust me, don't let this happen to you. It is not fun. The next big flight booking mistake is not giving yourself long enough of a layover. There's a few reasons why having a short layover is not such a great idea. The first is risk of missing your connecting flight. If, let's say, your flight lands slightly late and it's a big airport and you can't make it to your next flight in time, you might risk missing that connecting flight, and then depending on who you're flying or where you're at, you may have to wait several hours for the next flight or even days. This can be especially tricky if you've got to go through customs and immigration, if you check your bag and you've got to get it off the carousel and then recheck it, do that whole song and dance. It can be really frustrating. Another reason having too short of a layover is not a good idea is increased risk of lost luggage. Even if you make it from one flight to the next on time, there's a chance that your luggage will not if you checked it and you don't have a long enough layover. Overall, I'm not a proponent of really long layovers, but I do think it's a good idea to have a layover over an hour or an hour and a half for domestic flights and about 2 hours for international flights, just to mitigate any risks and make sure none of those things that I was just talking about happen to you. The next big mistake I see is not booking directly with the airline. You may have found a great deal with Priceline or Expedia or any of those other online travel agencies, but in my experience, it is not worth it to book with anyone other than the airline. For starters, if you need to make any changes to your booking, it's gonna be very difficult and sometimes impossible. Second, customer service is practically non-existent. And finally, if you're part of that airline's loyalty program, there's a great chance that if you book through anyone else, you're not gonna be able to take advantage of your elite perks, and there's a strong chance that you won't earn airline miles. Now, when you do book directly with that airline, make sure you put in your frequent flyer number. Make sure you're part of their loyalty program and that you've signed up with any airline you're flying with. It doesn't cost you anything and you're gonna earn points. If you don't, you're basically just leaving money on the table. Speaking of points, the last big mistake is not booking with a good travel credit card. I've said this before in many other videos, but if you're a responsible adult that travels much at all, I highly recommend having a good travel rewards credit card. 3 simple reasons to consider getting a travel credit card. The first is earning rewards. Travel credit cards offer rewards programs that allow you to earn points or miles based on every dollar you spend in specific categories. And then you can redeem those points or miles for travel-related things, such as flights, hotels, rental cars, etc. The second reason to consider is perks. Travel rewards cards often offer perks like free checked bags, discounts on rental cars, and access to airport lounges. So when you're on that long enough layover, you've got a cool place to hang out for free with free drinks and food and a nice bathroom and sometimes even a shower. The last reason is protections and insurance. A lot of travel credit cards offer insurance or protections for travel-related things such as lost or damaged luggage, trip cancellation, or trip delays. This can be extremely valuable, especially if you travel frequently. This sounds crazy, but I have 16 open travel credit cards. I never carry a balance. I had a stash of over 1.7 million points and miles at one point, and my credit score is over 800. I don't say that to brag, but if you would have interest in seeing me make a video about how I did that, because it was a journey, comment 813 below. I hope you got value out of this video. If you did, please hit the like button. It would mean a lot to us, and it actually influences the algorithm. And please subscribe to our channel if you want to see more travel tips like these. See you next time.